Welcome to our show today. We are so excited to just come back again with an exciting show. And today on our show, we have a very interesting guest. He has been a friend to me for so many years. His name is Rono. He's a safety practitioner who has worked for many companies over the years. I don't need to preempt everything. Just allow me to welcome him on the show. Welcome, Rogers.
Thank you so much.
It's to have you on our show. We've been waiting for you some time now. So I always start my show with asking, safety has so many components. There's risk assessment, inspection, accident investigations, trains, good requirements, so many things, compliance. So in your case, which part is your favorite and why?
Yeah, so thank you so much for that important question. My strength and my key focus is assessment. Risk assessment is a legal document that has got detailed steps how the task can be executed. Having said so, it's so baseline for people to understand the task that they'll be doing. Remember, for some task, they need to understand what they're doing. So it's comprised of everyone involved in the task to participate in risk identification and also elimination measures on the task that they're executing. It gives a clear picture as a safe practitioner that the people in a safe environment.
That's interesting. And just to get started, tell us about your background. Who is Rogers Royman?
Okay, so Roger Manu is a Zambian born from dad who gave me a lot of opportunities. The courage that I have, I take after him. So my late dad's name was Abraham Manu. This man, he fulfilled duties before he left this world. He left 55 and fortunate now. We lost 3 for 52.
Interesting. That's interesting. In a generation where people are scared of children, how does it feel to be part of a big, big family?
Yeah, it feels good because leadership starts from the family. From different minds, of course, different background, but the man made sure that he brought us together, inculcated certain values that we've grown up with. One being transparency and openness. Also, he made sure that he brought us from a Christian background.
That's interesting. Now, getting to your academic life, tell us about your education.
Yeah, so education, in terms of primary level, I did my grade 1 at primary school. Then when I was somewhere in 5, I was taken at Spongwe Basic School and students. And from there, I went to a few boys where my grade 8 to grade 12. Then I was at school, I admired to be a doctor or a lawyer. But for certain ones, I did into occupational health safety.
That's interesting. So how did you discover safety? It was still at the secondary school level.
So when I was at the secondary school, I didn't know it much, but I started practicing with Red Cross. I had too much passion in Red Cross. Thereafter, after school, because of certain things now, maybe financial constraints, I started working from a certain farm, one farm after that. And I also worked for a security firm. So when I was working for a security firm, named company which happened to our clients, they were practicing safety, and that's the time they were using it. So after seeing how the safety measures were put in place and how they prevented accidents from happening, and they also operated the security firm of the system by giving us for trainings. Thereafter, I saw an opportunity in the safety journey.
So is there any event that triggered for you to shift your focus to safety? Was it because of the salary, or is the work, the PPE, the attire? What is it that triggered that you should pursue safety?
So what triggers should pursue safety is the fact that people voted for work happily and knocking happily. So I started comparing my company at that particular time where I was working from. When you're not happy, but when you want to report for work, you're not happy because there was an element of fatigue which was not managed properly. We could work year in, year out without resting. If you work in the night shift, it's night shift. Work through day shift, it's day shift throughout. Say our clients, they had what they call fatigue management, gave people opportunities to rest, and also our safety keenly. I could see that they also had a fatigue management plan. So it prompted me to say this is good. That's how.
Wow. I'm so excited, because safety is a career to most people want to, and to just see someone like you venture to safety, just so exciting. From that company, what other companies have you worked for?
So from that security firm, now there was an incident which happened. Before that happened in the copper belt, he started troubling the safety bosses in that company, which that time it was not, and now it's called Slanga Cement. So I started troubling my mentor, who happens to be Mr. Roy Tumbi, gift member, who gave me the contract first to go and do safety course at the NCC, National Council for Construction, of which I went and I started doing my safety certificate course at NCC. It was very interesting because the things that I thought I didn't know, I knew them, because for me, it's science.
Yes.
Science, I think we see around us. So I realized that you see, when we're growing up, maybe somebody is cutting a tree.
Yes.
When the tree is almost falling, they'll push you to say the tree is going to fall on you.
Yes.
When they're demolishing, the building is about to fall, they'll tell you the building is about to fall on you. So when I went to NCC, I started realizing that actually I started safe when I was there.
The practical part. So the school brought in the theory.
Yeah,
part.
now the school brought in the so NCC are the foundation for my safety career. So immediately I was done with that safety career training at NCC, it was a privilege because I don't want to mention the particular name because of legal issues.
Okay.
The accident happened, and when people were asked to account for the people, for the ones who were present at that time, there was record because access control system was not in. So just that time, Lafayette introduced the department under safety called access control. So I'm very happy to mention that we are the founders. We started that department. That's my safety journey started.
What was your first job as a safety practitioner?
So as a safety practitioner, my first job was access control, to ensure that the people that are accessing the plant, they are compliant with the safety policy of the company. One of it being reporting for work sober. So they had a policy at that particular time when I was working in zero tolerance to alcohol. So one of my duties is to ensure that people report for work sober, and whoever is coming on site is the proper PP. Also ensure that whoever is reporting for work, company ID, and they needed to log in, log out as they were not known. And not just to do some inspections of equipment such as vehicles, and also the contractor that are coming to site, we needed to check on that one. So that was the job as a safety practitioner.
Okay, was enjoyable? What did you enjoy about this job?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. What I enjoyed the most is that this company did in a lot of trainings, career development. A lot of trainings were given us as first aid, firefighting trainings, working tight, confined space. Those were my most interesting things in my first safety time.
Interesting. And after Lafarge, any other company that you have worked for?
So while I was at Lafarge, I was elevated to the position of safety coordinator, of which, like the ambulance emergency response vehicles were under my control now. So I used to control the ambulance station, firefighting station, and the team which was working under me. So then, while I was with them, I was privileged to be under a team which constructed the new plant, which is the Chilanga 2 plant. The existing plant is called Chilanga 2, because the old plant is that is the Chilanga 1. So while constructing that plant, we were privileged to supervise 1,200 in that company, plus 800 Zambians who were in that project. So it was a 3 to 4 years project. We had 2 million hours without a lost time.
Wow.
So it was a good achievement. That second opportunity for me in that company, safety time.
Did what lessons did you pick after implementing this huge project?
Okay, so the lessons that I picked in that one is that in terms of behavior, behavior come from different backgrounds, so people have got different behavior. So behavior is not a one-day thing, it's an ongoing process. When you're inculcating good values, safety and people, you need to make sure that you don't get tired and you don't get temper. You need to understand people in every category. There are certain people, remember, construction site, it's not everyone who's got some of them will just be NRC, some of them it's just a muscle. They will be employed just like that. So now, in terms of inculcating values for them to understand what a risk assessment is, remember you are training people in English, but you need to understand that there are certain people that will not get it. So now you've got to be good. When in a certain area, you understand the local language that is being used. You can't communicate to the people the language that they understand. You need to get an industry to help you. So it happened since we had 3 or 4 categories of people. We had people without education. So the ones you engage a local interpreter to interpret to them. Then for the Chinese, those that are not able to speak English, Indians who have were employed to be translating. Whenever we're getting to the Chinese, or Zambians who were able to translate Chinese, even the Spanish, some Spaniards were guys who know how to speak Spanish, so they were able to translate. So it made the job very easy, such that the most interesting part is that whoever was on site, at the end of the day, they were able to understand the language that was being, because even the sign language was in local English and Chinese, so that no one will exercise ignorance to say we didn't understand what it means when you talk like this.
I'm just impressed that you even took the importance of language. This is something that some companies don't pay attention. They forget that some people may not understand English. I'm glad that during that project you have to also consider the language barrier. And from Lafarge itself, other company that you have worked for?
So from Lafarge, I worked for a Zambian company called Sim Construction. At that time, I'm sure I'd gained a lot of experience. I've been employed. So that job, very honest, I didn't apply for it. But the owner of the company called to looking for a competent safety practitioner who was going to help me run the project. They were constructing a filling station. I was selected for an interview, and the interview the following day when I reached at that company, one thing I have to commend those guys is that that's the welcome that I was given by the secretary that I found that particular. I still remember when Martha Ndidi, So the way she welcomed me, like we knew each other 20 years ago. So that environment itself was determined that I was going to get a job. So one thing that I learned from the director himself, the managing director, that was now is handed over to the son. So that particular man is now chairman for that company. So when I had his office, for the first time, I saw the director standing up. He stood, greeted, and offered me a seat. Then he excused himself to say, be in the boardroom, just picking this call, I'll be with you in a moment. So the interview panel was set. The interview only took 15 minutes. And I could see the panel didn't have anything for me. When they asked me a question, I asked them how many projects do they have in terms of accidents, how many accidents are reported, but they couldn't give, because of course it was still confidential and they didn't have confidence that I was going to accept the offer or not. Then when that interview was done, I left. In 15 minutes, I received the phone call that I was offered the job.
Wow.
Then on the salary aspect, it's always important.
Yes.
Try to negotiate. They delayed a bit, then they sort of down the offer. I don't know whether it's the fortunate part or the fortunate part when they took my CV to client, it was approved. So they didn't have any option but to come back to me. So to cut a long story short, they were constructing a filling station on we Road. That's that opposite Zamleda. There's that roundabout. That's adjacent to that roundabout is a filling station.
Yes.
So it was a very interesting site because it's a rocky area and it's also waterlogged.
But before we get to the project, I'm interested to know when we compare Lafarge with Chilanga at the moment, Chilanga Cement, a global company, and then that Zambian company, someone might think that you are going downwards instead of upward. What motivated you to switch to a smaller company?
Yeah, so what motivated me to switch to a smaller company is that now I started developing a passion for the steps of the country, because when I looked on the statistics, it indicated that in Zambia, most of the accidents that happens against people's lives are accidents related with construction. So I wanted to start it from the bottom, focus that I'm going to open my company, understand angles, both introduced or resistant.
What advice can you give to those who are just starting their careers, who somehow probably look down on smaller companies or SMEs or contractors? They just want jobs in big companies. What is your advice to them?
Yeah, so my advice to them is that, it's a continuous process. So for them, by virtue of them being in college, realize they need, so they can help those companies to grow by starting with, and also add value for the knowledge that brings. More companies are available to give opportunities to the youngsters to studying occupational health sector.
That's a valid, valid point. Indeed, where we start doesn't really matter. What matters where you want to end. So now tell us about this new construction project at the filling station.
Yeah, new construction. One of the challenges was that the day I started, I had to do the risk assessment with the team that had an idea on how to go about the risk assessment because the client wanted a risk assessment. So the first challenge I got to delay the process by first asking the client in writing that we needed to train our people in risk assessment. So they wanted the justification. The justification was given to them that we couldn't proceed doing a risk assessment as a safety practitioner, writing or preparing a assessment for people that do not have the knowledge. So the first step was to train people in risk assessment and risk management. So once they understand, then it's
That's when
for us to do risk assessment. So that's how the risk assessment, that training was done. They were happy. I was just seated in the background. The leader was to prepare a risk assessment, just one or two issues. Then when it was sent to the client, immediately approved, then the induction was now done. Then the holding was now put just to avoid people from passing through. Then now the safety budget was given at first issue, but stood of the safety procedure. So signing were across the site. And one, two, three things that were challenging in that project.
Yes.
Number one, we needed a. So when I mentioned to the engineer on site that we needed to get a pen to write a letter to Zero and these other service providers for underground such as water and sewerage and also the telecom fund, the engineer felt like he already delayed. They came, first they scanned, they do the luckily them they did have underground services. So the overhead line they had to relocate at a cost. It was a cost for the client, so that the project started. There was a delay of 1 month for this to do this, to relocate the line. Then for Lusaka Water, they came, checked, and also found that the underground service that needed to be located because that's the stretch where the ant farm was supposed to be constructed. And for these telecom guys, fortunately, them they didn't have underground service was. So that process was done, and we made sure that we wrote letters and we submitted 2 letters with the same info. One was theirs, the other one was our return copy that was for legal backup in case of eventuality. Then now when those things were started, the challenge that we encountered, ground was needed blasting. So now for the company, the competent blaster, they look at the cost. Of course, one that I've seen in these construction companies is that when they're in the BOQ, certain things are not factored.
Yeah.
So now you hit a rope, it's the BOQ. You go and sit with the client, then when it was approved, blasting. Of course, we're doing primary blasting. We factored in the guy who that company who is also registered with NT, also workers' compensation, and date of a blasting license, valid blasting license for the company, for the guys that were doing the task. So that's how blasting commenced. After blasting was all the rocks were removed. Now we started experiencing underground water, so we could the water achieve got into red. So it was a sometimes you pump, you've got 2 shifts day and night. Of course, the guys that were pumping that we made sure that life jacket is secured. So after the water is pumped during the day, the following morning that you want to go and work, it rains in the morning. So until such period when we're at that where now we managed excavation was wide, it was 8 meters deep, in that it can collapse while as people are working. So the spores were kept 5 meters away from the excavation, and also benching was done so that we are. Otherwise, if you don't factor certain things in terms of excavation, you could have a trench collapse, people working and people will be buried. So there are methods, protocols that are used. Is either you use shoring. Shoring will instead be looking at the volume of the excavation. So since we had enough space, we don't do the method we used was benching, just to prevent people from being buried.
That's interesting. You know, this is another milestone in your career journey. So for a project after you successfully executed and looking at complexity and all that, what other things did it teach about yourself?
So one thing that it taught me was that when you're introducing safety procedures, you need to be patient and you need to understand the type of people that you're dealing with. starting from the client, the employer. Then you need to introduce certain acts that are governing safety, such as the Occupational Health and Safety Act of the Republic of Zambia of 2010. You need to teach them about Factories Act. You need to teach them about Public Health Act. Remember, in that site, there are 200 people. So I need to explain to the employer the importance of having the facilities such as toilets. And not toilets, but clean toilets. You got portable toilets, massive frequency of cleaning them. So it was not factored on the bill. We needed to know how they're going to get the funds. And also, both in that project and in the Lafat project, I've always introduced what we call recognition awards. Remember, you're teaching people from scratch, they're proving, so you need to be recognizing them in terms of what different safety categories. So the most improved safety personnel and other categories. So you find that maybe on a monthly basis, you've got 3 practitioners, safety recognitions for the people that are doing very well. So once you give them a token of appreciation, but you give them money, others will just go and pay their kalawa. Others will just go and drink before they get home.
Yeah.
But if you give them a bag of mealie, you give them a tray of cooking oil, it motivates because they'll take it at home. So there'll be a link between the workplace and home. So at home, at work, make the safe link.
Yeah.
So because the wife knows that this guy, if he goes for work with free mind, he's going to achieve the result. More might bring a safety. If he doesn't bring a safety award, he will come back alive and he will back with his fingers just yet.
I want to give advice to contractors. You said sometimes they don't fall in the cost of safety. They normally neglect it, and you have mentioned the importance of having aware of their facilities like toilets, smoking points, and all that. So I want you to speak to contractors when it comes to safety. How important is safety to the contractors, not just workers themselves, but the main contractors?
Yeah, so for the contractors, my message to them is, one, when they are in the process of acquiring their companies meeting legal requirements, they should be sure that they've got NCC registration. So at NCC, you can't get registration before you get in. So the courses that are offered, they're offered to the top management, starting managing director himself. So they should be sitting when somebody can do safety, someone will do project management, the other guy will do contractor management, the other guy will do building and supervision management. So once they understand all these components, got a safety aspect, that's the beauty of it. Every course that's done for contractor management, there's a safety at NCC. So if they understand from scratch that safety the requirement, then they need to introduce it, and not just on paper, but to it. To ensure, remember that as a contractor, if you don't meet legal requirements, when there will be downtime. Downtime, it means when an accident has happened, they will shut down the project temporarily until investigations are concluded. So if you've got a workforce of 300 employees, for example, and for the general workers, paying them 100 kwacha per day, and the investigation is going to take 21 days. So per person at that particular time, they paid 2,100 kwacha times number of employees. Then if you engineers that are working for 1,000 kwacha, for example, you factor in all the costs, you realize you have people that have not been on site. So it's better to prevent an accident, save your money than cause an accident. Because remember, when there's an accident, you still need to look after the welfare of the guy who has been injured. And also at that particular, maybe it needs to be replaced. So it's as good as having 2 people on payroll for the same position. All those things need to factor in. Put good measures in place. Ensure that if you don't understand things, this government department, not your enemies. You can go to fabric, request for an inspection to say we've got the welfare, we've got the facility construction. Want you to advise on the public health that we need to do. want to advise on the fire system that you need to do, or you can engage public a private auditor who will come and audit and give you the findings. Or better still, your safety practitioners give you opportunities to make autonomous decisions, and you'll be able to see that they'll give you the requirements that are needed on the construction side.
Wow, I'm enjoying this conversation. Just how your insight we are getting from you. From project, any other company?
Yeah, so
you-
from
or
that
any other
project, I thought of electrical service. So when I was doing that before I started doing that electrical service, I also started upgrading myself. And a certificate again with the Allison University. I've also done a diploma with them, a degree. Then I'm pursuing my master's degree with the University of Africa. Then I moved to MPhase where we did the solar plant. Yeah, we did the solar plant.
With the same company?
No, a different company now. So the was a steering wheel, but the name of the project was called Bangalore.
Okay.
So that area again, remember it was a 54 by 54 hectares.
Wow.
So it's a big portion of arrangement, and now it's a bush area. One of the things that we observed during the assessments and our walkabout, this has too much snakes. And remember that there's a component under Wildlife Act that you're not supposed to do any wildlife. So luckily, MPhase, Lusaka South National Park. So we created a good rapport. One information to the safety practitioners is that when you get to a site, you need to establish all the departments. So that makes your work easy. So whenever we found a snake, we could call Wildlife Authority. They could then come with their snake handlers. They do the snake handling. Either they hit the snake or they catch the snake and take it in. So in that solar plant again, there was a lot of rock, a lot of sinkholes. I remember one sinkhole, it was buried. We put in 175 tipper trucks by
175.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you need to know that such areas now you look at issues where maybe the truck is passing, you just see dust and the truck disappears. So one of the things that I did as a safety practitioner request for testing. So we needed to identify the areas that are at the strength, the grounds that are got good soil strength, and the weakest things they have now to do their own engineering risk assessment to factor in what should be done, people work safely so that no one disappears on that side. Because you don't want a situation where the ground is
just collapsing. Yeah.
That's it. You will not find them. They become ancestors.
Like that. And for that project, any lessons that you
So,
can see that it was completely different from what you had in the construction. Then now the bush,
yeah.
the risks are different.
So that now learnings were so because 4 contractors on that particular site. So the contractors were doing the landscaping, excavations. There were contractors now who are doing works. There were contractors who are doing mechanical works, and there were contractors who are doing electrical works. So it was a combination of different arrangements and a lot of learnings. So like us were the main contractors, they've been given the responsibility to manage all the contractors. Now we needed to develop a parking zone, safe parking zone for equipment, of course, in the spillages, in a construction site, a lot of spillages, fuel spillages. So where the vehicles were parked, we needed to do a proper manhole. We needed to have the spill kits and people on how to handle the spillages. In terms of every contractor requirement was needed to have a good number of first aiders, firefighters, and the emergency rescue, considering distance. The nearest clinic from the MPhase is 20 kilometers to State Lodge. So you needed to have that rapport. And there were certain gates that you were not allowed to use. We needed to communicate to the police that in an event of an emergency, we get to you, our next numbers are here, so we might use this gate in an event of an emergency because it's leading us to the responsibility. So a lot of issues factored in, and also every contractor needed a standby vehicle on site. That was a requirement. That did not happen. Immediately works are stopped. So I also learned a lot of things at that particular site. The safety manager was younger than me, but he had much passions coming from the environmental background. At that time, he was just an environmental engineer, but he was also pursuing for his Bosch. So yeah, he's a good guy. His name is Crispin Tom. When he's not that, it's a no. Can't put him around. He's a good guy. Now he's.
I like that. The fact that I know the gentleman who were at Copper Belt University. I was studying chemical engineering and he was doing environmental engineering, and the program goes side by side. And for information, much of what we do is safety related. Yeah. So I'm enjoying what you are saying. Now, for that same project, the solar plant construction, is where you developed the interest for electrical engineering.
Yeah, so in that arrangement, because one of the things that I do, I start 2 months. There's no day that goes without me. I research and I realize how many accidents have happened in the country. Some have been reported, some not been reported. Electrical safety is very important for every safety practitioner to understand the basics of electrical safety. So everyone has the passion. So that's why I developed that one, where I saw that it's better for me to understand the task by having hands-on, so that when I talk to somebody to say, you can't go in a substation with an ordinary safety boot, you need to go an electrical absorber safety boot, which most of the safety practitioners don't know that you need. So for those that do not know that the electrical guys, they need to have a different safety because they get into a substation with high voltage, so they need to have special absorber type of a safety shoe. It's a special shoe in the wetsuits, a special.
I see. Then for project, anything else?
Yeah, so from that project into the Millennium Challenge Account project, where I did the Bombay Drainage Water and Sanitation project. So in that project, it was very interesting because I was used to a system where we just do safety monitoring maybe in one plant. When I got to that,
yes,
it had a lot of length because you remember this Bombay starts from Ring Road.
Yes.
At Golden, what do they call that? Golden Crestmore.
Yes.
That's where the drainage starts. So there are different arranged. So the owners, the fathers, they gave the names as CPs. So there was CP1, CP2, CP3, up to CP10. So if you're managing CP8, there are sections, maybe contractors are in 16 different
locations. Yeah.
So now, at the time I joined, in CP7 and 8, there were just 2 safety practitioners, so I was the one. Even then, we were just 2 because the guy that I found was transferred to CP3. So we needed to divide ourselves. Morning, we are going to concentrate on this side. The other guy concentrates on the other. Then in the afternoon, we do a cross inspection so that what I would have at that particular time, colleague can see what he has missed. I can also pick it. Then before we off, we consolidate. So certain issues that were happening, like if it is life-threatening, immediate work has to stop. If it is something that can be done, you give them time. So if my colleague gave them time to do those things in the morning, hand over to me. When you go to this section, there are these actions that were given to the guy. Needed to close and also. So the boss that we worked with, my commanding boss, a Filipino guy. His strength in safe monitoring and supervision. He would rather spend less time and concentrate much on site where the actual works are happening. So he was a busy guy, managing maybe 6 CPs. But for us, that's maybe practitioners are managing 2 CPs. For him, he also needed to do a weekly report. He needed to do a monthly report. We needed to help him to do that. And then there was also weekly inspection, where the contractor from the engineers were working for engineering, construction, supervising engineers. So you would invite them to an inspection. Every Monday, we had a meeting with him at the main, which was in Olympia. So you sit in that meeting, issues are brought in that address those needs to have access. Then you also ask you to do the weekly inspection for that particular day. So which CP is starting first? If it is CP 7 and 8, saying we're starting. So immediately after the meeting, you need to send an invitation to the contractor to notify them that don't travel. A joint walkthrough inspection, from this time to meeting, just like that. So the contractor, because there was what called citation. If the contractor fails to comply, a citation was issued where deduction is going to be applied to the IPC during payment. So it was a serious safety business. So you do the inspection. When you do the inspection, on that particular day before, you need to populate a report, prepare it, send it to the boss. Then he's going to review, send it back to you with comments. Then you work on the comments, send it to the contractor and the people that are responsible with timelines on which those actions should be closed. So it was a very interesting and busy. There was no idle time, and the good thing with what I learned from that self-managed mining bus was he exercised fairness to every practitioner. There's nothing like this guy has joined today, so is going to be low. He wanted these people to be happy, and also he entrusted us with the vehicle. So we could go with the vehicle at home, so that when the contractor is working at night, after you supervise the work, it's easy for you. You don't need to drive at home. So even when there's an emergency, still drive back, even on a weekend, so that everyone on standby.
You have talked about your manager and the impact that he had on you. Shed more light on the importance of safety leadership. How managers manage their juniors?
Okay, safety managers, they should behave like their lives, where your subordinates are going to fear. There are two things involved in life. There's fear and risk. So if somebody fears you, even when they see that you're almost into this, they will look the other way. But if it's respect for you, they'll say, Boss Mark, stop there. Or maybe move in front. Then, after you move maybe 5 meters, they'll ask you to 10. They'll tell you you're all falling into the training. So you need to have a good working relationship with subordinate. Of course, not a relationship whereby you know you have a drink together with the same bar where the risk is lost. The relationship should be there is work related, where you discuss safety issues, the plan for that particular week, and it goes just as planned. And your subordinate should also be able to identify certain areas which are your strength and your weakness. They want to tell you, boss, here, in terms of training, the contractor is lagging behind. The training that we identified next month, we're going to have excavations taken on, but we've not seen the training records for certification for the people who are going to execute such a task. We're going to have confined space taking place, that we've not seen such things. So you are participating by identifying and communicate to your boss, and officially he will write and instruct the contractor to do that particular engagement. A trained workforce, safer workplace. You know that the guys will be doing things in line with what the law requires.
I like that a workforce is a person.
Yes, it's
I like quote. Now, from that Bombay project, which was the Millennium Project, other project you've been involved
yeah,
in?
so before I moved into the Millennium Challenges projects, both at least I was privileged. I worked in CP7 and 8. Later on, I was transferred that CP3 to go and do the transaction project. That project was being managed by the Chinese. Of course, issues here and there, but we had to allow them the right direction of doing things. In the project, I'm very glad that I was given certificates in that. I was given a certificate of recognition in safety and also given a safety excellence certificate, and also from boss my commanders in that project. Him in his own personal capacity gave me a certificate of session for the job that we did everything. At the time I worked in that project, I should mention that there was no fatality in that project, but that's one time that's so sad on the whole team.
That was still a great achievement, a project at magnitude, not any fatality. From the Millennium Project.
Millennium Project, I just needed rest for about 3-4 months. Then there was an opportunity. I received a phone call in Kenya from a man called Patrick Gatero. He introduced himself to be the team leader for the water sanitation project taking place in Western Province, in 4 districts, Mongo, Nanga, Sesheke, and Kaoma. So I asked, how did he get know about it?
Yes, I'm also curious.
So now he got to learn because Surrey was part of the Millennium Challenge account, though it's near which worked with a different CP. So one of the guys that worked from the Millennium Challenge account was able to recommend the engineers. That phone call led to a meeting, met at Radisson Blue, where we had an interaction. For me, that it was an interaction. Him looked at that it was an interview. Because in that interaction.
Yes.
So I negotiated. I told him I'm now going to behave like a polygamist because I have 2 families. I have in West Province and I have my family in Usaka. So when I was negotiating for the, I factored in a lot of issues and we didn't have a problem with my salary for as long as the client was going to approve my CV.
Okay.
2 days later, he called to say, for the past 2 months, he had been submitting CVs, rejected. My CV just 2 days, or just 1 a day, it was approved.
Okay.
So to cut a long story short, that's how I was given that job. Vehicle came to pick me from home. One of the conditions that I negotiated for contract, I needed a well-furnished apartment.
Okay.
Because I didn't have time, I needed to concentrate on inspection. Made waiting for the rest of the guys along that apartment. In that company, it's just me and the one engineer who were able to make for such good conditions. Because remember, when your salary not you, even your performance
also
improve, or you'll be doing more than what they're expecting you. But having said so, I don't encourage safety practitioners feel that they are bigger than the company.
Yeah.
So that's how the project started. But yeah, it was also interesting. Remember, I was the only safety guy from the consulting supervisor engineer, now managing 4 districts. So how did I manage
yes.
to run the projects? Month, I told them I was not going to site. I needed to familiarize myself with documentation, the contractor safety management for all the contractors managing 4 districts. So when I familiarize myself, one of the things that I want to make and advise the safety practitioners is that there's what we call copy and paste in terms of documentation. So during my review of the tractor safety management plan, I realized that certain documents were gotten from Angola, certain documents from Mozambique. So how did I do this? So when editing the work, maybe the Maputo, so this Angola, so that this document was not
came from somewhere, it's not original. Yes.
So that was my first observation. I gave feedback. The team leader was very supportive. He comes from Kenya. Engineer. He's worked from different projects in terms of Africa. GRIP is working in a lot of countries in Africa. He takes safety very serious. So you have the first step here. I said the first step here is to allow me to inspect from all the 4 districts. I write a report and I'll submit recommendations. He gave me support. He gave me the driver, went round
All the 4 districts.
In terms of money, it was not a problem. Accommodation of my choice, so I needed him to do more than what I expected. So when I did the inspections, I realized that all the 4 lots, safety that were below. One, all the 4 districts, there were no first aiders, there were no fighters. In terms of PPE compliance,
it was also below the standard.
So my recommendation was to suspend the projects.
Wow.
So when projects were suspended at contractors' costs, was for the team leaders, the engineers, the safety officers, the human resources managers to travel home to meet. Then we had a 5-day session, Monday, detailed induction using the contractors management. Such one interesting thing was the guys submitted the contract safety management. They never went through them. They didn't know whatever was in that. So copy and paste, it just put you in an awkward situation where you put in clauses that you will not even apply with.
Yeah.
So after that was done, the recommendation was for each district to train 35 fighters, 30 first aiders, 30 guys for work height, confined space. Only then works will resume. So it took 1.5 months for all the trainings to be done. The guys were still on payroll, like I mentioned earlier, to say if you don't get to certain safety regulations, it is going to impact on you when the project is temporarily suspended. So when all those things were done, there was total compliance. Give them to back and work, and I will do a follow-up inspection, of which we did in all the 4 districts. And now reports were submitted to them for action to be closed. So improvement started from that point, where now we told after training, we had the 5 days induction. There was nothing like this guy is HR when he goes to site, he was able to spot the mistakes. There's nothing like this one. She's just an engineer. She needs to spot the mistakes and put improvements in place. So now, even toolbox talk, I introduced toolbox talk where every day before work, and that toolbox was communicated in 3 languages: Lodzi, because the guy was Lodzi, Chinese, and English. So there was no excuse any of the guys to say they didn't understand what they were supposed to do. So so I needed to work with the safety officers closely and nicely, such that there were certain incidents that were concealed, but the safety officer gets to say there's this incident. So I'll communicate to the provincial labor commissioner for that particular incident. I also communicate to the police to get to the site to go and investigate, and I also drive to go to the site. So when I arrived in Mongo, I discovered that one truck had more than 13 road traffic accidents which were not reported.
Wow.
So I reported that contract to the police. Evidence was produced. The contractor was charged for failure to report accidents, and it was communicated to the 4 districts. Then from there, immediately an accident happened, the Chinese himself will communicate to say an accident.
Wow.
So that's one of the greatest things that happened, and we have a good working relationship. Remember, I said in the area that you're working from, in government departments, starting with the hospital, you need to have good communication and relationship with the hospital, the police, fire service. You also need to have the labor office. Remember, every accident that happens, you need to file this accident. You don't need to do an accident, even in workers' compensation. So the tipper driver, one of the things that I did when I was in Western Province, I've just forgotten the name of the manager or rats at that particular time in Mongo. Very instrumental and very helpful. When I interacted with her, it was and offered free defensive driving for all the tipper drivers and the small vehicles. It was a session in Mongo again. For one, because we didn't need to suspend the project, but people were put groups. And everyone who listed that particular training was able to participate in that training. So if you work well with the government departments, it's very easy. You get it easy to execute the project.
Wow. That's a good one as well. From that project? So
from that project, I came back to Lusaka in 2021. After UPNG won the elections, I came back. Again, worked for the Millennium Challenge Account Project, a certain threat which collapsed. So for 2 months, when the project was done, I was on interview with the Zambian Paris. That was an opportunity for the Lusaka expansion project, of which the interviews went on very well. It was a Zoom interview. 3 days later, I was called, given my offer letter. We agreed on terms, then I started working. Tell us about the project, the expansion of Zambian breweries. So the expansion of Zambian breweries. And the that you played. So in that project, I was a safety facilitator for that project. But one thing that I have to mention, from the beginning of that project, I see that Zambian breweries, in terms of safety, ABI is very serious and very keen, such that I was given an opportunity by a female iron lady, safety called Tendai Mzinganyama. Yes. Very instrumental, and very passionate. Yeah. So what she did, she told me, well, you're going to be running the project with a lot of contractors. Some they come from the safety background, others that's when they are learning safety, and they will be employing every day. So one of the requirements for API is a permit system. So before we even do these other things, when the induction was done, you need to be trained in permit to work arrangement. Last month, using this budget, our own budget, it was able to send me to South Africa for the permit to work training. Wow. So when you're given such an opportunity, you know that business takes books at safety seriously. So even me, when I went there, I made sure that I never understood. I was able to ask. Then I was certified to be not just a permit issuer, but I was trained in permit issuing. So I was able to train even other those that joined on. So the starting of the project crazy because I was the only safety guy in the safety project. For 8 years alone in that safety project. But one thing that I have to mention is that the instrumental project is lead, who have to be Fundo Peter at that particular time. So we just the 2 of us in the project. So when there's, for example, the contractor is about to come to site, I needed to check that they meet the requirements, like their saved files meet everything. If the saved file is not meeting the standard, then I'll take comment until they work on that one. Then once they meet the requirements, then we do a kickoff meeting. Of course, not just the two of us, me and the engineers founder, but with these other people, the other people from the project as contracts management and other team members. So we do a kickoff meeting. Of course, starts with safety because the brewer believes that safety comes first. Everything that they do, safety comes first. So a kickoff meeting is done. They'll ask you review the file, this. What do you have to say? Then I give out my observations, and also if we're good to go, I say we're good, then we do kickoff meeting. So it was crazy. You're coming from this kickoff meeting, you're going on another meeting, go to do inspections when you're knocking off. So exhausting. In the 8.5 months, it was like that. So I request that
for support.
Yeah. So they brought in 3 more practitioners. The way we brought in, you see, it was a very big project because it was involving civil works, mechanical works, and also electrical works. So during civil works, it involved the same things: excavation, blasting. So for certain area where we thought that there was no need to blast, we used a tape, but also we factored in the noise pollution. Areas that are far away from the offices. Okay. Some chemical connect the Minox, the chemicals or
and I remember at some point that same project where you had to handle abnormal loads in the penny. Tell us that.
Yeah, so there were some abnormal loads. I'm sure most of the people across the country, especially those that use the famous Great North Road. But if you say Great North Road, others will tell you it's Great North Road, it's curfew. But that they need to know that Great North Road starts with the southern province all the way up to the northern province. Yeah. So abnormal loads were coming. They were being imported. Of course, the permit was given by RDA. They were flooded 2 kilometers away from the
RDA, that's a road development.
Okay. So those things now are stored somewhere 2 kilometers away from the plant. So I was given the task that was going to be my area, installation of the BBTs and CCTs. These are big tanks or vessels that needed an abnormal loss for them to be transported. So when I was given this task, I coordinated with the project manager, Mr. Mlangachreshe, to say in here, what is about to happen now, you need to write to government departments for this task to be done. Which department has the RDA road development? Why do we have another permit when these things were already offloaded? I said that it expires immediately. The road is offloaded, so now we need to do another permit. Also need ZESCO to help us shut down the days that will be very abnormal. We also needed RATSA to be aware that the roads will close from this time to that time. Then we needed also to write to the council, because remember, all the facilities that you see across the country belong to. So letters were written. Zambia police were to. They instructed the nearest police station material. Then also RATSA were just notified. Also, State House was notified, because in an event, maybe the president wants to pass in that particular the road is closed or communication.
Yeah.
Minister of Health was also communicated because of various hospitals that are around the area to say from time to that time. So we're closing the road from 0.5 hours to 6 hours. That was the arrangement. Then the second arrangement was at 14 to 15. So why the delay? Because once this switches off, they needed to be lifting the lines over a line because the load was above the line. So it was a tedious exercise, but that was the day it happened safely. I'm very happy to mention that that was one of my greatest achievements, to bring all the stakeholders on board at the time. But there's one logistics manager who was coordinating the project, expatriate called Fernando, very, very instrumental also when it comes to safe, when you give lines that this is happening, he was coordinating, cooperating. So once that exercise is done, the vessel or the tank is taken to the plant, then the police will open for traffic, but of course not at the same time you try to guide. When the traffic normalizes, the police will leave, they will drop them at the police station, they now come and coordinate the station. It was a critical operation that could have led into fatality. Something was not done correctly. So it didn't matter. The risk assessment was in place. Every day before we started work, we sure the guys execute the task. They do a two-box stop. They issue it. They understand what is on the permit. Wind monitoring, very important. So you need to monitor the speed of the wind whenever you are carrying out lifting operations. So most of the people, they don't know there's a gadget on the crane, the head of the crane. That boom, there's a that rotates. And now we are lucky that once you can be checking, you can monitor the speed of the wind using your phone. So if the speed of the wind is too much, all lifting must happen at that time because remember my cast swing.
Yeah.
So all those things are factored in to an extent that 9 BBTs were then installed, 6 CCTV installed safely during that execution. No accident was recorded. I remember that was done, the project manager, engineer, instant that he gave me a recognition award as the most outstanding and performance in terms of it. Recognize that. So that motivated me. Not only that, when that task was done, I was given another critical installation of the siren, which are 1 meter high. And also there's a tap on that siren, which is 55 meters, which was installed. So no small crane would do that.
Yeah.
We depended on a 400 tons.
I remember that, that huge crane.
Yeah,
which was transported by different trucks.
Different trucks, counterweights, this part. So one of the things I remember during lifting those tanks, an argument with one expatriate project manager. I said the ground is loose. He says the ground was compacted. I said I want to see the results for this ground. He says, you are the crane. Are you going to pay for it? I said I cannot pay for someone's life. But the crane can be paid.
Yeah.
So that's that argument took minutes. Then I called him on phone. I said, come. I asked guys for the crane. Before they could even start lifting, the ground was already sinking.
Wow.
The crane was moved. The contractor was asked to come and compact that. After compacting, I still insisted I wanted to see the results. When the test results came, it passed the test, the crane was brought in, lifting was successful. Of course, we needed a well-coordinated team with a competent crane operator, rig, and the team members. And one of the things that was happening was that if it took me 1 hour to brutalize the people that were present at that particular time, I needed it to happen so that I make sure that no one is working under the influence of alcohol or any disgusting substances until that task was done without any accident. And I'm glad to say the 2 years that I worked for the brewer, recorded at the time I was leaving, it was 3,500,000 without a lost time exchange.
Wow.
And one thing that I've come to appreciate myself is I always leave the stage in still clap. That's one thing.
Wow, wow.
So from that task, when working with the brewer, I started seeing certain things to say. Now, how long am I going to work as a safety practitioner? To be on a payroll, to be working under supervision, under instruction. It then prompted me to register a company, RM, Safety, Security, and Environmental Consultants.
Okay. Tell us more about that firm.
Yeah, so this firm, it's a Zambian firm that is here to stay, not just to make money, one-way transaction. It's here to stay. Help the government by spreading the information through safety communications, like what we're doing here, is that this message is being disseminated across the country, global, so then people getting the insight of what we're discussing. So this is exactly what RRM in terms of safety going to be doing, like the tasks that I did at Zambian Breweries where I coordinate with the stakeholders. So we're looking at opportunities. If somebody had to hire us to do such an operation for them, they should be assured that they're going to achieve the results without any accident. So in terms of security, we also realize that most of the companies in this country running safety and environment, they have a component of security.
Yes.
But if you look at it and security, they are
integrated.
So if you check, one of the roles and responsibilities of safety to prevent life and property. So if you check, you ask for the definition of security to prevent life and the property.
Yes.
So you see that most of the things like access control, you've got strict controlling access. So that when there's an accident, the safety department should be up to number of people who are present.
Yeah.
In terms of security, what we're doing installation, CCTV camera installation, we're doing the laser wire, also doing a lot of trainings in terms of security, such as number one, weapon handling. How is one able to handle the weapon? Securing the weapon, how are they supposed to secure it? We're also doing trainings in terms of workplace harassment or violence. What language should be used when people, if it comes to site with a political guard, what's the role of security? Remember, there are different political parties in this country. So if you're going to a certain political to
dominate or to bring politics to
the workplace, people have got different opinions in the fight to So those things under security, workplace harassment, workplace violence prevention, it is in that component. So we also, in terms of security, realize that construction brings in a lot of expatriates. So one of the security things that we've put on our companies, immigration consultants.
Okay.
I'm very happy to mention that we're even sitting for an exam. A few days ago, results are already out. What that's remaining is for it to be in this paper for people to know it. Okay, also RRA on the list of immigration consultants, where we'll be helping people who are forced to prepare the work permits. Yeah, permits, different permits for people that are coming in this country, and also the visas. Then in terms of environment, realize that you see a lot of the project, one of the projects that I did for the Millennium Times, the Bombay drainage. When I go in Bombay drainage, I find that it's blocked. It pains me because I've been part of Bombay drainage. The idea is for water to flow, people to do sensitization in terms of environment, and also when new contractors are people, other people that are doing construction, in terms of environment, is what they call AI, environmental impact assessment. There's also environmental brief projects. We also do those things. There are some projects that require environmental closure for the project. What was environmental closure? In terms of waste management, we got trainings related to waste management, and we do waste management collection. And also, when the project, a new project that is going to impact the community, you need to communicate social and gender. We also do that to communicate the community to say, look, there's a project that is coming. It's going to benefit the community, the drainage, to bring employment, but the impact that comes with it, there will be noise here. Also, we're going to break this
and dust.
So the dust, all those things are factored in. In terms of security, safety, I've mentioned, we are also doing them, and we are doing different types of trainings in terms of safety.
That's impressive, and congratulations for those achievements, especially for the immigration one. There could be someone out there, safety officer, safety practitioner, who might be designed to into business, and or they don't know where to start. So, using your experience, what does it take to become an entrepreneur, a safety entrepreneur?
Okay, what it takes to be a safety entrepreneur, it doesn't require money.
Okay.
You as a safety practitioner, you are a entrepreneur. You need to use widely. You need to consult the people that have been in business for some time, like Ara was visited Safety Focus several times, to appreciate the challenges they had in the beginning of business, the moment during business. So we from Safety Focus that during COVID business slow, and most of the clients in the country. So you keep from other people, and also you need to be passionate. The most important thing is be passionate about what you're doing. Otherwise, if you're not passionate, you want to do money, just do it for 2 days and you stop. Also creating good relationship, rapport with people, and also you need to take time to research, do a lot of research. You don't want to apply a product which is a counterfeit to your client. You are just called to take back your things, and you're not business with them.
True, true. And talking of passion, the time I've known you've been so passionate about safety, and just even the that you have shared with us shows how passionate you have been on this journey. So the question is, how did you develop this passion for safety? And it goes beyond your job. There are moments that you've been even in a public situation. I remember the incidents where some individuals got trapped in the confined space and had to step in and control the situation. Sadly, we lost, is it 2 lives? Yeah, 2 lives were lost, but you stepped in, even when you went on violating traffic violation, you step in, you communicate with the relevant authorities. So all these are just proof of how passionate you are. So I want to know where the passion comes from.
Okay, so where this passion comes from, whenever I'm conducting or executing duties, I put myself in other people's shoes. That if it were me in this situation and I didn't have the capacity to get, so I take it personal, to the extent that I don't want to see one's rights in terms of safety being infringed on. For example, if a motor splashes this old poor woman with water, then they decide just to drive without doing anything. Pains me, I'll pay attention to the number plate of the car, off the road, and immediately communicate to RATS. Okay, there's this situation. And if I've got a coin, give that coin to man, just go and buy some. Do that. So the passion, I've taken it because now I've come to understand that there's the blood that I have, I think there are a lot of safety components to an extent that I don't want those to be part of statistics for bad things. I always want to be a solution, not a problem,
Not a problem.
in terms of safety.
Yeah. And as we do to our interview, you're someone who is a jack of all trades. There are so many things that you do, but in this case, there's also the politics aspect of your life, and you have not hidden your political affiliation. Even the time you are in full-time employment, you were active, involved in politics, and now you are on your own, running your own business, and you are also involved in politics. What learn from you? How do you combine? Because safety and professionalism, usually there's that friction. There are certain companies that might not employ someone who is politically active, or certain that might not deal business with someone who is politically active. How do you balance the two?
Okay, so how I balance it is that most of the people, they don't just realize that they're also politicians. Politics is with everyone. Be it at church, there's politics. You see certain people, when you give your views, they will not accept with your views. Already that's politics, because there's democracy being practiced. So there are three things involved. Number one, in everything I do, I put family first. I got the for my family. If one of my child is not okay, my dependents or my wife not feeling okay, that particular time, I'll put work aside, I'll put politics aside, I'll focus on my family, because safety for me starts from home. Living at home, at work, make the same thing. So, I've realized that in the time UPND was in option, I used to put the status for the president, who happens to be a president, and other political stuff on my status. I remember by one was a secretary.
It's also that's Zambia Occupational
Zambia
Health
Occupational Health
Sector.
and Safety. Yes. So I received a phone call to say, if you continue displaying such things on your status, you will not be a member of us. I said, show me the constitution where that clause is indicated in the constitution. Because I read the Zosa constitution, and I've never seen any clause that stops me from doing that in my own capacity. Then I went on to say, when we form the next government, I'll come back. But that was just on a lighter moment. After we won elections, I was excited. I just wanted to show it. So I've realized that, you see, even in these positions, the government gives Ministry of Youth and Sports. If you don't have the passion for sports, putting current Minister of Sports, like, is so much into sports and whatever is happening. And this morning, I've mentioned that he already went to see Harry Kalama, the guy was involved in the road accident, which shows the passion he's doing.
Yes.
Or if I was going to be given an opportunity in it, I know that automatically I'll be cabinet minister. Probably the president will give me Minister of Labor or Minister of Mines and Safety. So coming from that background, I will be on and I'll explain to my fellow parliamentarians to say why it is being done. It's not coming from head or the head of the person who introduced it. There's a law attached to it, which is Act of Parliament. There's Factories Act, there's Environmental, there's Act, there's also Public Health Act, there's also Occupational Health and Act of Republic of 2010. So I'll be able to cite and I'll be able to connect the two, and I'll speak with, I'll push that one until it's voted into. Like now we are struggling to accept.
Yes.
So see, things are still happening, and probably people have done enough, Zosa has done enough, Wellington has done enough, Makun has done enough, Shanzi, Eustace done enough. Now we are not getting closer to what we are expecting. So when I get into Parliament, I'll be able to know that this is where we stand, and I have to push the agenda. Within 3-4 months, we're going to see the safety standards, whereby if the government departments that are responsible, sometimes it's a shame you see the government which is responsible for that ministry, say people working safe scaffold, they are driving and just checking or not even stop. As in one capacity as individuals, will be able to stop and call them stopping this project. But if parliamentarians can be inculcated with that knowledge, as they are distributing CDF, they'll be able to factor in the component of safety. And even safety practitioners will be employed because it will be requirement that every safe project should have a safety practitioner. So the government would have created an employment opportunity. Like you've seen in the past, people are posting funny stuff to say this is CDF project, but if you read the language, you find that it's from a different country. Yes, it might not be in Zambia, but obviously we know that most of the government projects that happen is not a priority. So like now there's an opportunity where the dual carriageway is going to be done. If I was Minister of Labor or Minister of Mines and Safety, I'll put the president to say, this project, let's put a law that every contractor must have a safety practitioner, the engineers must have a safety practitioner. So maybe it's also would have employed, maybe the government would have employed 30 or 40 people that are affiliated, and that's also affiliation for the members. So, sends is a pit whereby your pays for a social license. A year goes without them having an opportunity for employment. And when the renewal process comes, not be factored in that they stayed for a year without employment. So that's how I combine political and safety career.
So that means that I can see that even in politics, you are speaking so much passion and even seeing yourself. Do you ever see yourself as a cabinet minister? Something that you are mentioning in
Yes, most likely 2026, I'll contest one of the constituencies which will be reviewed in due course. I'm very sure that I'm going to make it for that particular constituency for 3 reasons. One, I was brought up in the second, even when there's a we've made several contributions, financial contributions, physical contribution, and also the support that we give to the community. They take me as their son for that community. So I see myself one day as a member of parliament, and once I'm a member of parliament, with good relationship that I have with the party, the president, and some of the cabinet ministers, and then you know that most of them now will not be able to contest 2026. So we stand a better chance some of us.
I can only wish you success on your political journey as well as the side. Now, I want to just find out from you. You have shared career story, other passions that you are pursuing. What are the happy moments, safety journey?
Okay, my happy moment in the safety journey is that, like the previous, before this, when I was in Western Province, yeah, we are about to commission one water treatment plant, which is in Western Province, but in Kaoma to be specific. The government officials, including the Minister of Water Development at that time when I was in Western Province, they wanted to push through the site without PPE, but were procured, and I gave a serious action to security and no one had the site with PPE. Some guys were upset. Later on, they appreciated, and after that moment, the team leader was able to give a recognition award, and I was given an opportunity that one of the hotels in Osaka for a week with my family.
Wow.
Of which I asked the team leader to about to finish my house. I can't be in the hotel for 7 days with my family. Let's just calculate how much supposed to spend.
Spend, yeah.
Then that money was channeled to material for me to finish that. I put the offense that I also get. So it starts a sad moment, but it's
Happy
moment.
moment.
Happy moments. It's a moment by the most. That time when I was 9th Zambian breweries, where maybe in that office 9 or 9, but you are given the recognition awards, not that because it puts so much, because people have seen that you are passionate about what you're doing. And they can be one award at a time. So I wish those that have not received the awards in their lifetime not to relent, but they need to keep pushing hard, and they don't need to get tired. They should only get tired when the task is done. They should not get tired when the task is done. They need to push. When the task is done, that's when they get tired.
Your 5 marks, the marks for especially for just starting out in there.
Okay, so my final space is to appreciate this studio that has invited me today for this wonderful interview. This is not an interview, we need to have more of this. For the people that are pursuing and those that have been in sector but they've achieved what they desire, is for them to understand that they need to connect wide. You need to have a wide application. When you lead a project, you should be able to call from that project who is able to pick your call. When you lead the project, people must be silent. Don't be in a situation as they say it's good. You leave the project and people start celebrating. Then there's a problem. When you leave the project, people do your number or they number on call blacklist, then there's a problem. So for anyone that is just about to graduate, those that are students, is now good business. It's different from what used to be in the past. Graduating doesn't mean getting a job. Graduating to think at the box, you in the safe, maybe specialized firefighting equipment, extinguishers or training. Background, how others, how they started, what challenges they had, and also interact more. It's a safety important that has been caught, of which has been happening, virtual, physical, other don't see these opportunities. So people must take opportunity serious. You go to a function, you meet 3, 4 gurus, your network guidance, and also to interact with government departments such as RATSA. When you road transport and safety agents, they'll give you an opportunity. Maybe they've got their road show, you say one or things, you interact with Ministry of Labor. Most of the people they know that Ministry of Labor and the security department, the labor safety department,
yeah,
where you can interact with safety gurus like Mr. George Kawi is the current director, safety director. You can interact with the one Osiku who sits on the IO in terms of safety and is the safety important at the World Bank. So such people, if you sit with them, you will be amazed. You will learn a lot. So let's keep interacting. Not just those big names, those just examples for people that interacted with, people that have at least given me the.
Well, thank you much. With those remarks, we really appreciate even made time for us, and we will definitely call upon you, and I will keep on interacting from you. And to us, thank you so much for watching this show. Don't forget to subscribe. We're bringing such valuable for your own benefit. I've learned from our guest today how he started off his career in a security and rose to manage out million projects in Zambia. Some of the projects he has mentioned were huge projects in the history of our nation, and we had an opportunity to manage some. And upon that, is someone who has worked as a full-time employee and then working for him in his own business. So there's a lot you can learn from him. You can see RRM on social media, able to interact with them. Or if you need further information on his firm, or you have some business or some consulting, you can get in touch with RRM Consulting, or you can get in touch us and we'll be able to link you up. So thank you so much. Subscribe. Until time, stay safe.